When you talk to the guys like Ben Ball and any guys that have had the chaff decks for a lot longer than we have, and there's even some numbers behind it with like Ari over in WA and research and Pete Newman, and they've found quite a high numbers of rotting in the chaff row, and they've recorded some pretty high numbers of
So purely just leave the seed to rot.
Concentrated row that'll get wet and germinate and dry and rot and die. So you're losing quite high numbers of ryegrass in that process. And as you get a couple of years of chaff on the row, you've got more chaff, more mulch, like a bigger compost sort of a row. And if you do have the ryegrass grow in that row, and you come through and you harvest it again, and you harvest mature seeds, you harvest them again, put them through the machine, pick them up, put them back down on the row. It's not as though you're harvesting a problem and spreading it back out like we always used to. You go around a tree, pick up some ryegrass around the tree, and then spread it over the full width of the machine. You're getting it in a concentrated row. You're probably gathering a few other weed seeds out in the crop as well, and you're just dumping them all back in that concentrated row. You don't have to do anything, but for us this year it looked quite ugly in those little rows in some of the crops. And we went out with the boom spray. We can either select just those specific nozzles on the tram lines and apply chemicals to the tram lines only, which is only like about 8% of the paddock. So we can either target the weeds, get the timing right, or change the rates and get higher rates just on those rows.
What were you using? This is your pre-spray?
Like even pre-spray, like even pre-sowing, we might have been just they might have been separate pass just with a knockdown with some, say, a bit of Roundup. Where we actually sowed some wheat on the chaff lines, we were able to use a chemical brew of it was double knockdown with Gramoxone, because the paddock had already had a blanket Roundup spray over the top, or glyphosate. So we did a knockdown, second knock with Gramoxone, a mixture of Secura in there, and there was also a bit of low green in there on the wheel tracks, and that was to stop any volunteer canolas and ryegrass and that. So that was a pretty...
And you concentrate for that. Did you change it at all for the wheel tracks?
Not on that application, because that's only done as a separate wheel track pass. So it's applied at the, label rates of chemical, but only on the wheel tracks.
Right. Specific nozzles only?
Just one nozzle only, just on each wheel track. So we just did that. When we're spraying broadacre or the full width of the boom, and we want to control weeds on the wheel tracks, and you've still got to be conscious of maximum label rates, that we can increase the nozzle size over the tram lines. So if we're spraying a paddock and we're putting on, say, 400 mils of clethodim, and we can increase the rate on the wheel tracks by 25% just with the nozzle choice on the wheel track, we can get up to the maximum label rates of 500 mils of clethodim on the wheel tracks. We're only requiring 400 mils on the rest paddock. So you're targeting perhaps a bigger weed or a bigger population, but you can do that on that 8% of the wheel track with the nozzle selection.
Right, so you're probably spraying cost-wise about the same, but you're concentrating. Would that be fair comment?
Yes. You probably, depends on how you want to mix the chemical, you can add the extra chemical to compensate for it, or you can be robbing that little bit from the rest of the paddock.
Sort of
thing. So you can adjust your rates accordingly. You need to allow the 400 across the paddock plus the 500 on the wheel tracks, you just adjust the chemical rate to do that.